organized by different social classes. The Mayan pyramids, and we drove about almost 3 hours to make sure we could experience this epic adventure. We were just walking in. We're going through the small market before we enter, and we're in for something. This is my first time. Bob has been here before.
This is the same biggest pyramid, one of the new wonders of the world today, since 1839. Everything was covered by jungle, everything was damaged because of the time, because the city was abandoned more than 300 years before Spaniards arrived and before archaeologists started the exploring and restoration of Chichen Itza. This is from 1923, when archaeologists from Carnegie Institution started the restoration of Chichen Itza. Okay, how we can relate this Mayan calendar work into this construction, because the temple is represented as well, the calendar system. We have 4 sides as 4 cardinal points. We have in every side a long stairs with 91 steps each. If you multiply 91 times 4 is 364, plus 1 step more to get inside the room up there, 365, the number of days of the solar calendar. The construction has 9 platforms, 9 levels. If we divide it by the stairs, we have 9 in each side, 18 as the solar months. If you take a look at the decoration, every platform shows rectangles. Some of them looks outside, the others looks inside. If we count from the back, just the inner rectangles, there are 3 in every one, but in the first one there are only 2. If you multiply 3 times 8, it's 24, plus 2 on the top, 26, and 26 on the other side, 52. Every facade had the same decoration because we symbolize the Mayan cycles. That's why we say the temple of Kuprikan is the calendar made in stone. And this is not all, this is just the exterior side. When archaeologists decided get in, they found another small construction inside the biggest one. This is just an illustration to get an idea. The smaller was covered completely by the biggest one. This is the one Mayans wanted. They used the smaller as a practice construction to build exactly the same, twice bigger, using the same architectural style. Archaeologists only restore one side. The staircase inside has 65 steps, less as the ones outside. But if you multiply 65 times 4, is 260. What it means, the moon calendar is represented inside by the stairs and solar outside. This cycle between both calendars. Inside the chamber of the small temple, archaeologists discovered 2 beautiful statues that is still inside for preservation. This one is from the Toltecs. His name is Chacmol. The Chacmol was the messenger of the sun god. Always in the same position, rest position with open hands on his head. Offerings that could be human parts of sacrifices according to the celebration. Behind the Chacmol we have another statue in red color, the Jaguar Throne, for governors and priests. It still preserves the red color, incrustations of jade, original stones, turquoise eyes, shell teeth, and nowadays both the statues are still inside. But it's not possible to see them anymore.
So that's actually red stone.
Yes, both. Original color, but made in stone. And both is still inside.
So just, since we're here and everything, we're talking about human sacrifice before. Have you seen the movie Apocalypto?
I saw.
How similar do you think it is? Do you think that that movie was directed? Do you think that really shone light on how everything was? Would you have added anything, or what do you?
In my opinion,
what are your thoughts? Yeah.
It's not a bad movie, but 30% of the movie is according to the history we know.
You said 30 or
30%.
30%.
30%. The part of the movie is not so bad, but confused too much about sacrifice Eden. It's not exactly as the movie showed.
Okay.
The movie show a construction like this that is not this one. It's one in Tikal, Guatemala.
Okay.
The biggest we have in Tikal, Guatemala.
Okay.
And shows a person being sacrificed in 2 different ways. Taking his heart out and cutting the head off.
Right.
We know Mayans practice both, but not to the same person, not to the same ceremony, not to the same moment. According the celebration and according the God they're gonna receive the offering was the kind of person they choose and the sacrifice they practice. Not always the same time.
So you think maybe, from what I saw from the movie, they would go into villages and capture people, and so they would sacrifice only certain kinds of people, you said. So what do you mean by that?
Mayas fights a lot against Mayas,
Right.
and sometimes they capture people to use them
Yeah.
as slaves,
Okay.
or to sell them as slaves, not to being sacrificed. After a conquer, just the strongest and the bravest warriors in Chichen Itza, they were captured to being sacrificed, but not all the time.
Okay.
Not all of the time.
Okay.
Because
And
of
then
the
they
yes.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, so then you said they only practice like one type of sacrifice.
According
versus
the
both.
moment.
Okay.
We're not sacrificed daily or for a lot of people. They were not volunteers. We're according the moment. And when we talk about human sacrifices, it's not a whole Mayan culture. Not all of the Mayan cities practice the same kind of sacrifices. Not all of the places had evidences about human offerings. Chichen Itza had, but not all of the places.
Right. So that's very interesting.
Okay, there's an amazing acoustic on this building. That's why people clap. If you clap your hands facing the stairs, you can hear the sound bounce to you like a bird singing. But if you clap your hands outside of the stairs, it doesn't work. You need to be facing the stairs, doesn't matter in which side, just being facing the stairs. Do you want to try?
Yeah,
The acoustic, yes, impressive because it's not magic. It's something Mayas included when they built this.
Okay. Let's do this. So how close would you say that we need to be to?
We can try here, we can try on the front. It's much better on the front.
Okay,
There
let's
is
try
the entrance. The entrance is really nice.
How many stairs were there? We get a quiz later.
I would fail.
Oh, 365. Yeah. Just wondering. So how many stairs did you say were on here?
91
91 stairs. Okay.
outside.
Okay,
91 in each facade.
Very good.
65 is the ones inside.
Okay. So this is where we clap.
Nope, I just waited for you. That is the entrance.
Okay.
Is the one archaeologist open to the public? They didn't find any original access.
Any original what?
Access. They didn't find any access, any entrance to get inside. Archaeologists have to break part of the field on that stairs to get in.
So that wasn't natural. They had to break it.
They have to break it. It's not something Mayans opened. Mayans didn't use anymore the small construction inside. They stopped to use it at the moment they built this. Okay,
Okay.
come to the front.
So it is November 6th, and I must say the weather here is amazing. And they say it's very brutal here during the summer months, obviously. I mean, we're in Mexico. But tourist-wise, I mean, would you come at any time of the year to see this? I know I would.
Did you hear that?
So should I climb it up?
Just hold on.
Okay.
You're gonna be in the front. Okay.
I'm excited.
Okay, I'm gonna start clapping, and if you want to, you can follow the rhythm. Okay.
Okay.
We can be far, we can be closer, doesn't matter. If we clap in front of the stairs, we can hear the sound.
So this sound, this sound
The
we're hearing now,
sound-
this is just from clapping.
Yes. One clap makes the sound.
That is crazy. I mean, I don't know if you guys can hear this. Maybe come closer up here, but it sounds like a cartoon-like sound, like a squeak. It's very crazy.
There's an echo of your clap.
All right, no one's clapping right now. I hear it. Did you hear that? That is crazy. Oh my gosh. That is outstanding. I don't know if you back home can hear what I just heard, but maybe we can edit in the exact sound into this video later, but it's outstanding. We need someone who can clap louder.
Yes. We need to clap louder to hear the sound.
Yeah.
But it's so cool. It's impressive. When you clap, you are doing vibration. That vibration touches every step, and the frequency of the sound changed 91 times as 91 steps. That's why when the sound gets in and bounce out, it's like a bird singing. And Mayans included that acoustic mainly for communication. Those people were able to speak in a regular voice, as we already talking, 26 meters high, and people down here listen perfectly while they are speaking. And at the same time, that sound is similar, is represented Kuprikan god, the serpent feather god. Okay? So Mayans made that intentionally. This is not a coincidence.
So do you think the Mayans are very musical?
They did. They have a dancing place over there.
Okay.
Dancing, music included all the time.
All the time.
During the celebrations. They use different instruments. They use stone drums, big shells, trumpets, flutes to combine the sounds. Archaeologists actually discovered in here the original Mayan stone drums they used for music.
Stone drums?
Stone drums. I'm gonna show you later on. Come this way.
My favorite. So when would you say the raining season is?
Started in May,
Started in May?
finish September, October. Sometimes November is still raining, but not too much.
Okay. So obviously it's very sunny out, and so a period of rain, I would maybe assume it just rained for just a few minutes. I don't know. I kind of like it. It feels good. The rain feels amazing, especially in the sun. Gives a different effect.
This is the last excavation archaeologists did in 2015. They were looking for the entrance for the inner construction, but they found this. The original foundation of the Kuprikan temple. Something interesting about it, we are not walking on the real level of the ground. You see down there, that is original level ground. So Mayans built first that foundation 3 meters above the real level. When they don't, they just cover it. You can see the opening side, you can see the original field, and on the top there are different layers of material. Was the technique Mayans used to flood all this site. So we are 4 meters up the real level. When they don't, they started to build all these temples. The temple of Kuprikan is the only one with that particular foundation. So Mayans have to calculate and plan how heavy the construction is going to be, the weather and the heavy and everything about this construction. They planned for a long time. They started in 700s after Christ to plan and build this plaza. Imagine for a moment how it looked like Chichen Itza back then with the colors. All these buildings were full in colors. Mayas used some red, white, yellow, black, blue. They paint inside and outside every construction. So must be gorgeous displays on the Mayan splendor. I have another illustration that is the complex you have right behind with those beautiful architectural style and actually the stone roof. Archaeologists restored that temple, but not the roof. Quite different.
Yeah,
They did a really good job.
they sure did.
And they continue the preservation and maintaining the beauty. The smaller you see over there, that was for administration for governor's activities. The one in the middle, the one with the square columns, archaeologists called the warrior's temple. On the square columns, if you take a look, there are some carvings, original carvings that are still preserved on it, are telling stories, battle stories. How many cities Chichen Itza conquered, how many people they captured, how many governors they killed, but it's part of the Toltec's influence. On the top of the temple, we can see those columns, and between those columns, there is another chakmol, another messenger. We are closer, we cannot see that statue from here. When we move from distance, we're gonna find him. Mayans practiced up there ceremonies to the sun god, and they included human sacrifices. The people they choose were all those warriors they captured after a battle, the strongest one. On the Mayan beliefs, on the Mayan concept, they consider the heart the best part of the warrior. All the vitality, energy, stronger was concentrated on his heart. That's why they offer the heart of the bravest warriors. We are talking about a specific kind of human sacrifice. Inside that temple, there are some chambers with beautiful murals. If we have the opportunity right now to get inside, we are not gonna see the full mural, the full colors, but we can appreciate part of that. If I show you that particular section closer you can appreciate much better all those details. There is a man with a black color skin. It has a serpent around his body in green color, and he's using a kind of headdress in blue color. He was a priest. The priest was intimidating dogs and people. If you take a look, his hand is like this. Only 3 fingers touching his chest, not inside his chest. And there are 2 circles around his hand. That is the movement symbol. He was looking for the right place to cut the chest. Now take a look at the position of the chosen guy. Hold by hands and feet.
So he was alive when they
He was alive, but he was unconscious.
Oh, okay, that's much
He's
more.
held by hands and feet with the head down and the back on the sacrifice table. On that position, the chest is completely open, it's exposed. So the priest found it, the natural whole side to cut there and remove the heart. At the same time, the person became unconscious because the blood accumulated to the head and feet and cut the circulation. He stopped to breathe. On that moment was sacrifice. No pain, no suffering, no blood spread out. Archaeologists call clean sacrifice that kind of ceremony. I'm sorry. This is a kind of ceremony. It had a process to sacrifice people. It wasn't too much aggressive. It wasn't so painful.
It wasn't so brutal as
Not
it
so
was
brutal.
portrayed from what we
Yes.
were talking about previously.
Yes, that's why we're not. People were not sacrificed a lot. Just on the most important days and the most important ceremonies. They didn't sacrifice daily. Okay, just when they need something from the gods.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
What did they do with the rest of the body after?
At the end of the ceremony, the heart and the body of the warrior was cremated. Mayans practiced cremation according to social classes. Ashes were kept on vessels. Vessels were taken back to the place the warrior belonged. It didn't matter if the person belonged to the enemy place. He was choose to be sacrificed, and the sacrifice for the Mayans was the faster way to get a better life, because Mayans believe in reincarnation. So if you was choose to be sacrificed to your gods, you had the opportunity to get a better life after.
Oh, so there was a big belief in the afterlife.
Was a
also in it.
privilege, was an honor, was something good. That's why people were not governors, were chosen according to that. But this kind of sacrifices they practice in Chichen Itza was at the same time to control the people. Because Chichen Itza fight a lot against another Mayan cities just to keep power, keep the control, just for the trading activities. It has another intention, those kind of sacrifices, not just the religion side. It's important to mention that. Chichen Itza changed a lot when Toltecs arrived. Became more aggressive, became more warriors than originally used to be.
Okay. So if like someone didn't want to be sacrificed, they would just have to. It was like more of an honor.
It was an honor.
It was an honor.
Different times.
Is there any age that you think they would wait till? Like, I mean, they wouldn't do kids, no, or would they?
The younger body remains founded in Chichen Itza was about children between 4 to 8 years old. So it didn't matter the ages.
Okay.
Man, woman, child.
Everyone was
It was
had an
according.
equal thing.
Yes.
They can be
For the
sacrificed.
Mayans was like that.
Yeah.
Woman and man was a perfect complement all the time.
And their families must have been proud and say, you know, we sacrificed our family member, and this is just how it is, and this is the way of life.
Yes. They have to respect it because it was part of the life, part of the religion manners they have to follow to be good with their gods.
Monica, what percentage of the current population of Yucatan is derived from Mayan blood?
It's a good question. We are we are a mix. We are a mix of different cultures. So if I have to respond that in myself, I actually don't know. I think 10%, 15%. I keep my traditions. I keep my customs because my family taught me about it. But in percent of Mayan bloodline, probably 10, 15%. The Mayan language, it's a language that people still preserve and people still speak Mayan language. There are more than 7 million of people in Mayan territory still speaking Mayan language. Different dialects, but all of them come from the Mayan language. It's a good point I saw in the movie Apocalypto. Apocalypto showed Mayan community and all them speaking Mayan language is the Maya Quiche, and that is from Guatemala. The Mayan Quiche is the most preserved dialect we have in the Mayan area. Without any mix of different language, people just speak Maya and not more. If you take a look, you can see the Chac Mall right behind you. We have to be in a good distance to find the same position, same facing, same direction.
Oh, I see. There he is.
But we have to be in distance.
So he was the acceptor of the gifts that were sacrificed, statue-wise.
When they cremated them, did belongings or anything else get put in with them?
With all the
Bodies? Yes.
because it was part of the respect to the social class. After that cycle, that person, when the person reborn, they're gonna have a different social class. They climb up the social classes and have more knowledge as the previous life. That's why when people were buried or cremated, it was with all the personal stuff.
What is this noise we're hearing? Like, it seems like they have
whistle.
Jaguar.
It's a Jaguar whistle. It's
Okay.
a toy. Vendors blow it and sounds like a jaguar, supposedly as a jaguar whistle.
Okay, and then how does that tie into?
It's just a part of the souvenirs. We know the
Okay.
jaguar for the Mayans was a sacred animal,
All
a
right.
symbol of protection, power, the protector of the sun on the underworld. But this is part of the souvenirs.
Okay.
You can find here. We have another Chac Mall over there. It's another original statue. The Chac Mall, you see? Remember, Chac Mall was the messenger of the sun god, was an offering table. Not all the time received a heart on his hands. That one have to be on the top of the dancing place, and he received something according the moment. Fruits, some flowers, according the moment was the kind of offerings he received. Okay, that dancing place has a perfect location. It's in the middle of the Kuprikan temple, the warrior's temple, and 400 meters the sacrificial way. A cenote the Mayans used to practice another kind of human sacrifices.
So is this still considered the 7 wonders of the
One
world?
of the new 7 wonders of the world.
Okay, very good.
Not the whole place, just the temple of Kuprikan.
Got it.
Let me show you. Oh, it's okay. Let me show you some pictures, some carvings. You mentioned about Venus.
Yeah.
This platform, it's called Venus platform because the carvings we can see there, archaeologists identify one of those carvings as the Venus representation on the same Mayan codes. Come closer to see. On the right panel, you can see a big star, and you see a rectangular figure beside. It's represented the Venus of the cycle of Venus. Venus was one of the 4 planets Mayans discovered just by observation. They didn't know they were actually planets, but they were able to identify 4: Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. They consider their gods came from the stars. And they observe all the time the stars. That's why they identify the ones that bright more and has a movement the others not. And Mayans created as well 4 calendars, small calendars for each one of those planets. On left side we can see some diagonal bars, and actually we can find the original colors red and blue. There are 6 diagonal bars and 1 more cross all them, 7 in total, represented an important constellation. Have you heard about it? Ursa Minor, Little Dipper?
A little dipper, yeah. Oh yeah.
Mayans discovered the same constellation. Because of the position of the stars, they related with the movement in zigzag of the snake. So for the Mayans, the snake was a sacred animal because it represents one of the most important constellations they discovered on the sky. Okay, that's why they adopted Kuprikan god, the serpent feather god. And you're gonna find in all these constructions decorations of rattlesnakes with feathers covering its body. Is the symbolical side of Kuprikan, is a symbol to that particular god. If you take a look on the rectangular side, we can appreciate a serpent body in movement and feathers covering its body. You see the rattles on the right side and the serpent.
Back then, archaeologists would have like a lot of high regard from people, be very respected.
Yes.
Is there any place like they would stay? Like would they, do you know anything about like how they were treated? Or, I mean, you've seen some cultures like the musicians were of high regard because, you know, they performed for the king and the queen and, you know, obviously like maybe in that situation they can't be sacrificed, but I was just wondering if you had any thought on-
Probably not the official dancers, not the
Okay.
official musician people,
Right.
but their family could be,
Right.
according the moment. Because sometimes they choose them according the birthday and according the phase of the moon.
Oh, so they would choose them based on birthdays
Yes.
and okay, all right.
And that
very
happened
good.
for the ceremony to the rain god.
Okay.
So the rain god could be everybody.
Okay.
Didn't matter the age, didn't matter the classes, social classes, upper or commoners people. They respect too much the date of born. Because gods choose the destiny and future to everyone since the date of born, since the phase of the moon of your date of born. Mayans respect too much that. Okay, as for music, those are the original stone drums.
And so when you say stone drums, do they have something to beat on them? I mean, I'm curious what kind of sound it would make. Is it a certain kind of stone?
If you hit it, sounds like bells.
Okay.
But Mayans used wooden pieces to heat them around to reproduce different sound. This is not the local stone. These are pieces of stalactites from caves and caverns.
Okay.
So Mayans cut stalactites from the caves and they use them as stone drums because it has a porosity, has some hollows that the regular stone doesn't. And Mayans
frequency,
figured out
of course.
yes, that's why they can hear different sounds because the porosity of those stones. It's impressive how they figured it out, all those details.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we were over here during the clapping and hearing, the sounds of what was coming from that and how that was, made. So to do that, I would imagine the music, if we could hear it today, was outstanding with what they had.
It has sense for me, but I know the history of human is a mystery. I know and I understand this age is more technological. We are not ready to understand much of those details and mystery that history has. And I believe that most of the cultures that from different places had the same knowledge, had the same level of astronomical knowledge and build the same things and consider the same things, talking about the religion, probably they had the same gods represented in different ways. And I think we are not ready to understand too much about it.
When shall we be?
When we decided that we are not the only ones. There are a lot of movies about, but most of the people don't want to believe. We actually don't know. The Mayan history has a lot of information, but we can share about the history we read about, but it's not totally true because it wasn't our time. We were not there. It's the same of the most important civilizations. We can read about it, but there's anything to prove at all, it was like that. But I think the writing system most of the civilizations had, that is the key. That is the key. And that's why we are not understanding most of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like going on that, I think that like history, right? The Mayans had per se died out because overpopulation, things like that. And the reason why people should know about these things and research and know about history and not be distracted by everyday life is we don't want history, bad parts of history, to keep repeating itself.
Yes.
But people are not learning anymore.
Exactly.
They're not they're not reaching out to discover like what is what is going on, and I see how the world is in my eyes, what's going on. But yeah, it's just it's a good point that
Yes,
you
it
and Bob were talking about. Yeah, lots of serious on stuff. Carry on with the tour. So this is the dancing area. So when you guys closed down, I know the people used to be able to climb up the stairs, and you stopped doing that. You said in 2005, right?
2005 was the last year.
Okay, and then when that was open, were the other structures open? For example, where people
In 2005, people stopped to climb up the biggest pyramid.
The biggest
but
one.
the other ones are still open to the public.
Oh, okay. So we can maybe go dance on the
In
on this one
2005, yes. People
Okay.
can climb up this and can climb up to the Warriors Temple. But in 2007, because of the nomination, archaeologists decided to close all these constructions for preserve and because Chichen Itza had another nomination, very special. And that's why archaeologists decided to close the climbing to the people.
And how do the people of this area think about that? I mean, I would assume that it's something to be happy about to make sure it's preserved for, thousands and thousands more years, however long we're here for. So, what do you think about it, of closing it down?
I think it's good. It was a good decision because the stones are the same Mayans used back then to build those temples.
Right.
And every time people climbing down, they damage a lot of stone. Something I think was wrong was not control the number of people able to climbing up, not control the time to climbing up. So people can climbing up anytime they wanted. So it wasn't a control, and probably must be since the beginning a control of climbing to protect more the structures and avoid accidents. We had a lot of accidents.
I've actually heard about that. Was there any kind of vandalism ever done? I mean, forbid, but I mean, for that reason alone.
We had a lot of accidents, a lot of people who climb up and cross the line and climb up faster just to be on the top for a moment. We had a lot of things. We have some mutilations of the constructions, people who came and cut the stone just to bring it home.
Yeah, a
just to keep
souvenir.
it.
Yeah, that's and that stuff makes me mad, and
Chichen Itza was not the only place.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine, and that's why I wanted to ask that question too. I mean, how is that dealt with if someone's caught vandalizing? Like, I mean, I can only imagine. I've talked about it, but I mean, living here and having something of such a great structure as the Seven Wonders of the World, I think it's a great idea that they preserved and cut it off from people climbing. And it's just like out of respect because, I mean, I can imagine like some tourists are, just not thinking and they don't study history. But yeah, it's respect, and people here obviously would just never do it just because. But you get somebody who's
Significant.
If you are tourist or not, it's not like that. I've been here 10 years ago working, and I can see many different kind of people come from different part of the world.
Exactly.
And with not the same education, not the same concept of the place that I visit.
Right.
And I can see local people, vendors, neighbors taking stones just to do anything, or just kicking the stones away from this place. So it's not where you come from, it's not if you read the history of the place or not, it's just about yourself.
Who you are, yes.
Who you are.
Yes.
This is an original road Mayans added right behind the wall we saw a moment ago. It's an original one, has 400 meters length and has the same elevation, the same 4 meters up as the plaza we were walking. This is one of 73 roads Mayans built in Chichen Itza. All peninsula of Yucatan has a lot of these roads. So Mayans built elevated road system and crossing roads to connect, transport the material, transport the stones, for communicate a city with another one, or for the inner city too, the inner plazas. Temple.
Just around the big one?
Yeah, the foundation is just for the temple of Kuprikan. That's why Mayans have to fill and elevate the level ground. Time of the color in the surface all the time is green, and that is because of the algae the cenote has. This one has 22 meters deep and 26 meters of diameter. It's one of many cenotes we have in Chichen Itza that Mayans back then used just for the ceremonies to the rain god. To guarantee a good rain season, they offer people on the cenotes to the rain god. The cenotes were the gates of the underworld, were sacred places. So Mayans choose the best cenote they have to those sacrifices. They choose the people, as we were talking about it, according the birthday, according the phase of the moon. So it could be everybody according the birthday. Okay? After they choose the person, the first process was purify the person they choose. You can see over there. And
So they purify them.
Yes, they have to, because the cenote was a sacred place. People have to go through the underworld clean from in and out. That's why they need to be purified before, and that is an esteem that remains for purification. After that process, they dress the person according to the social classes. They put offerings on hands or the personal stuff. They tie the hands with the offerings. They wrap the body. They threw them alive into the cenote. They were alive, but not totally conscious, because that purification, all the leaves and plants and resins Mayans use for the purification, makes the person feel more relaxed or a little bit drunk.
Okay.
because of that mix of plants and roots and barks.
So, sorry, this is another way to sacrifice.
Yes, this is another and different sacrifice to the rain god, asking for a good rain season.
Okay, very
They
good.
didn't have any irrigation system. Chichen Itza didn't have irrigation system. The corn plantations were inside the jungle, 3 to 4 kilometers through the jungle. So they need the rain season to guarantee a good harvest. They used the fresh water from the cenotes for drink, for constructions, for domestic activities, but not for agriculture. For agriculture, they have to offer a human life. On the Mayan ideologies, they believe all the gods has a duality, a good side and a bad side. The rain god is an example about it. Rain is good when it's coming on the right season. Not at all during the hurricanes, during the storms, or on the dry season. So Mayans believe the rain god has a bad side stronger as the good one. To keep the balance, they have to offer the best they had, a human life, to receive just the best and the good things from the gods.
And how often do you think they would do a sacrifice like this?
We don't know how often they did. We know was the ceremony they practiced more because of the rain season.
Right.
But we are not sure about how many people they can sacrifice at the end of the rain season. I know that they did it too much because of the rain they did. Okay. The first expedition, the first exploring on that cenote was in 1904 when an American guy came here, Edward Thompson. Edward Thompson came to explore that cenote. He used that machine, probably you saw it on the path on the restroom, to explore it. Everything he found from the bottom was broken bones, broken skulls, broken archaeological pieces. But he found 95 skeletons. 95 in that expedition on the bottom of the cenote. That was the first expedition. He surprised too much because on that year people didn't know about the human sacrifices. So he thought Mayans used that cenote as a kind of cemetery. Another, this is the same expedition, 1904, when you see they are using the machine and local people. Another important expedition was in 1930s when an American guy, Mexican guy came here, Roman Piñachán. He came with a group of professional divers to explore once again the same cenote, and they discovered 200.5 human skeletons. But 70% of those bones remained discovered belong to young people, children between 4 and 8 years old, and teenagers about 11 to 16 years old. But we are not saying those are the only kind of people they choose. And it was the total bone remains they found it. Still more on the bottom because the cenotes has a connection each other. So most of these artifacts and bones still on the bottom or moved to another ones.
Okay, and then how deep do you think this is?
22 meters
22 meters.
from the water level. Remember the meaning of Chichen Itza?
The mouth of the water. Remind me again. Yes, I do remember it, but yeah, no, I definitely understand the.
On the mouth of the whale
Of the whale.
its size. Its size, the name of the Mayan tribe, and the name is because of the cenotes.
Okay,
Okay,
so this
Do you
is
have any
actually the meaning.
everything fine?
Did anything ever happen to any of the people that were like discovering and like scuba and like recovering stuff? Has anything weird ever happened that
the curse.
they were interrupting it? Like
Something mystical? Or
yes,
something
yeah.
like that? Not on that excursions, but I don't know if you heard. We had Placido Domingo. No, Luciano Pavarotti was here almost 20 years ago, and when people were getting the stage and everything, all that structure just fall down. It was a kind of wind for a moment, and everything just fall down. And we are talking about heavy structures, and they couldn't explain what happened. And some of the local people explained that those guys have to ask a permission
Sure.
before to use that sacred place, and they did.
Or it's haunted.
Luciana Pavarotti accepted, and people say Luciana Pavarotti prayed to ask a permission for before the big date of the concert. But kind of things happen here all the time. If you are a sensitive person, you can get an experience about it. They adopted taking her out from the Toltecs people, where they didn't sacrifice like that, not the same kind of ceremonies. But when Toltecs arrived, everything changed. Okay, the most important decoration on this long platform you're gonna see in a moment are skulls everywhere, skulls on profile, right of left side, representing the function of this platform, not a number of people were sacrificed. We're gonna walk in that direction to see the other carvings, and we're gonna find the skulls carving on the stones. Facing left, and we can appreciate part of the color remains, the red one. So the decoration surrounded all the way around, but not the front. And the skulls is just something symbolical. Archaeologists actually decided to excavate this platform when they found all these carvings, but there's nothing. It's a solid platform, nothing inside.
Nothing inside.
No.
Okay. I see this is broken up over here. Is this maybe this is from archaeologists?
Part of the sections archaeologists couldn't restore. The stones are missed, and they didn't use modern stones. They used the local ones, the original ones. That's why if they didn't find a piece, they have to leave the section like that.
Is there a reason why all the skulls are facing this way? I would assume maybe to face the way of the front of the platform.
One's facing left, on the other side facing right.
Okay.
They are focused on the middle, on the central side, because it's where they practice the human sacrifice, right on the top of this platform.
Wow.
That's why.
So all these skulls, do you think, or does anyone know if these one per represents a certain person or a certain?
No, it's
Okay,
just something
it's just-
symbolical.
Got
It's
it.
not the number of people were sacrificed, are not representing a specific person. It's just something in general about decapitation. But the Toltecs used to build platforms like this outside of the cities, and they used to expose the heads of governors or warriors they already captured and killed for intimidate the enemies around. Mayans didn't. Mayans just adopted the same practice, and they exposed the heads of the winner captains. So the platform you see is inside a ceremonial center. So the meaning, the original meaning changed with the Mayans. Mayans adopted, but they changed completely the meaning of decapitation.
Is this where they play that game?
Yes. Are you ready to play?
I am ready. No, I don't want to get decapitated after though. Yeah, I love my experience.
Okay, so what are they for?
Oh, I don't know
The donuts on either side. We're kicking through, right?
But not kicking.
Okay.
They couldn't touch the ball by hands or feet.
Okay.
They have to bounce the ball using the body, using instruments on hands. They try to pass the ball through the rings we can see on the walls.
Those are high hoops up there.
Yes, and it's important you know this is the biggest ball court we have in all Mesoamerica, not just into the Mayan area. We have more than 1,000 ball courts in all Mesoamerica, and this is huge. This is the most impressive one. It's unique because of the architectural style and the size. It has 168 meters length by 70 meters per side.
Mine.
It's the biggest we have. And according to archaeologists' research, they explain how they used to play, talking about Chichen Itza, not Mayans in general, and not people from Mesoamerica, just in Chichen Itza, where 7 players per team. 7 players included the captain. Between two teams and 7 teams playing together at the same time into the field. Players and captains use protections on the body, shoulders, elbows, hips and knees, using the armadillo shield and the turtle shield because they have to bounce a ball. And they couldn't touch the ball. It was made of rubber ball, 3 to 5 kilos weight, almost 20 centimeters of diameter. Heavy like stone, easy for bounce. So they have to keep the ball on the air all the time. Players were running on this grass level. Captains were on the top of the platforms running at the same direction of the players did. Just the captains used instruments on hands. They had some rackets and wooden sticks to hit the ball to get a score. We cannot explain about how long it took. We don't know about the time. No hours on the Mayan times. We don't know how many scores at the end of the game. But archaeologists propose one score should be enough. The first captain who get it on the less time was being chosen to be sacrificed. You
Where
are
were the
lucky because it's
spectators
raining.
be?
From the top. They were watching from the top of the walls. The walls had stairs behind it. They used to climb up to be on the top watching the game standing up. This one was for the priest. The priest had a perfect location to watch. At the end, he sacrificed to the winner. The one on the other side, the other stand, was for introduce the captains before the game started. And governors were watching from the top of the wall up there.
Have they ever recreated this game in modern time?
In Chichen Itza, only once, more than 60 years ago. But the players, they participate, were not on the top of the platforms. Everybody were running here. People say after 6 hours, nobody get a goal.
Yeah.
They use the same material for the ball. But those players, they only use a kind of protection on hips, not on the
They
rest
weren't
of
motivated to lose their heads. So they,
Nobody wants to die. That's why.
Yeah, no, I could see this game taking, days. You know, sundown, like, okay, let's begin tomorrow.
Archaeologists actually have the same theory. We cannot prove how long it took. We don't know where hours, days, we don't know. But we know Mayans practice that game so hard, only twice in the year. And probably it took days to finish the ceremony, the official ceremony. And the players and captains have to train a lot for months before to come here because they were actually ready to die, ready to be offered to the gods. I would like to show you some carvings as the one you can see on the corners. Those carvings show people dressed as players and show the moment of the sacrifice. Come to see them. See the carvings? Did you see them? The carvings? To the back? Because of the rain, it's not possible to see perfectly those carvings. But there are people on profile, as you see over there. There are 7 facing right, another 7 facing left. Look at this guy. You can see he used a protection on the head, a protection in nose and chest. Also, he used a protection on chest made in jade stone. You see the protection he used on arm. The entire arm is protected. He's holding the racket on his right hand. Now the winner was beheaded. Okay.
Nice.
On the other side, the first person from the second group has a different position. If you take a look, it's on his knee. Still use the same instruments, the same protections on the body, but without head. That is his head. From his neck, there are 7 snakes. If you take a look, there are 7 snakes come out, like spread out as blood. The one in the middle became a plant with flowers and fruits. So symbolically, his blood is gonna fertilize the soil. His life was the best offering to the gods on the underworld, represented by the skull on the middle. We have to try to interpret all these carvings according to Mayan times, not our times. Okay, but this is a clear evidence that decapitation happened. About that kind of ceremony, how important it used to be. Okay. Now the original one is the one archaeologists made. Archaeologists cover platforms, steps, and levels using that kind of plaster to protect the constructions. Let me show you what we are talking about. This is the ball field before the restoration.
Oh my.
Take a look careful. You're gonna find one of the hoops, one on that side.
Okay.
Can you see? It's right over
Yes.
here. Very nice. And this is the difference about the higher of the ring. You see the height of the man and how high used to be the ring. So this is the original one. Archaeologists discovered in the right position. That one was broken. Archaeologists have to fix it and put it back on the right place. Okay. So they did a really good job. They work a lot to restore the ball field. And actually, there's a special echo, impressive one, different to the one we heard in front of the pyramid. If I clap right here, one more time. If I clap 1, I can hear more than 5 times, 5 bats. And that is because of the walls. The walls are not straight at all, a little bit like this.
Okay.
That's why the echo stays, bounce on the sides. If I clap here, the bounce is on the other side. If I clap on the middle, it's on both sides. Reflections, yes.
So I can imagine, like, when these games are going on, there's all these people
Imagine
here.
Jalen,
It would be
the sound of the ball touching. That's why the game was called Pok Tak Pok. Pok Tak Pok in my language means jump and bounce. Pok is the sound of the ball when it touches the ground. Tak is the bounce when it hits the walls. Pok Tak Pok, jump and bounce.
Okay, I was looking at that one before, so I didn't realize it was like this. That's great.
Yeah, it is. So it's beautiful. The decoration. It makes a difference between one side and other. So Chichen Itza invited just the most important Mayan cities to play on that ceremony. Those governors were watching up from this stand and spectators watching from the top of the walls. But commoners were not here. This was so private, just for the upper classes.
Okay, so it was a private
Yes,
party.
so private, yes.
VIP only? Okay. And how do you think they get up there? I mean, I'm sure there's stairs.
There are stairs
leading
behind it.
Okay.
We're gonna see one of them when we go out.
I would definitely get I'm a little scared of heights. I can't imagine sitting up there too long.
We have a really good view from the big pyramid. When you get closer to the wall, you see The pyramid is so small, and you can see how the wall getting high and high and high.
Yes.
When you are getting close to the wall, you cannot see the pyramid behind, because the wall originally it's a little bit higher as the person who built.
Okay.
Do you need some help? No. Do you need some help?
No,
fine?
Thank you.
I think we finished on the right time. This is one of the federal guardians. They are waiting the time to close the place. One of the private stairs. Small yes. To access the room up there. And from the top we can appreciate the colors, the original red one.
Absolutely.
So what do you think they would wear to come watch these kind of events? I mean, as we know, the people playing the game, they dress up and like the, how they did. But do we have any idea like what they would wear to come on these private events? I mean, I'd imagine like a royalty.
How they used.
I love fashion, so
Yeah, they were so fancy.
yeah.
They use a lot of feathers. They use different colors. They use a lot of tattoos. They use incrustations in nose and ears, teeth. I don't know how to explain this, but Mayans, people from the upper classes, made something on their eyes. You have this horizontal view.
Right.
They broke the muscles of their eyes, and the eyes moved to the middle forever.
Forever.
Yes, and they did it using just a small piece of obsidian stone, jade stone. They hold it on this level of the branais, and people have to watch the stone all the time until the muscles get broke.
So when I tell my kids things like, don't hold your face like that too long, it'll stay like that, it will.
Yeah, it happened.
Okay.
It didn't matter the age. Yes.
Well, I wonder how long that would take. I mean, at least until you're like into your maybe like I would say 40s or something like this. But
I
the
don't
reason
think
it's
too much.
yeah, that's
But they were so fancy. They use actually deer skin, jaguar skin, and feathers of beautiful birds. As more fancy, more higher was the rank of them. They have to be so different in all the manners as possible to the rest of the people.
to show like who they are, their class, or
To show you important, but at the same